Hello! In this video I'm going to look at footage from Gabby Petito's YouTube channel. So there's a video there where we see her interacting with Brian, and I think there are lots of clues there about their relationship, and I want to talk about that and about Brian in relation to covert narcissists. I'm not saying that Brian is a covert narcissist, but I do suspect he is. I think we've seen evidence from the police footage that suggests to me that he's really controlling, and also that he comes across as really meek and far less arrogant than he turns out to be. From his behaviour in that video and from the things he's done, he seems to me to be someone who feels really entitled.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
She's the centre of attention here. Look at where Brian's looking. He's not looking at her. He's not looking at the camera. He's not including himself. She pushes him, so for Gabby this was her including him in the joke. He looks really uncomfortable and self-conscious to me. This is the clip where he looks the most comfortable in the whole video, and notice he is centre stage. It's just him being filmed and then she joins in. What we see in him, I think, throughout this footage is that when he's not in control of what's being shot, he seems to be really lacking in confidence. To quite excessively, he seems like someone who comes across as really uncomfortable in himself and shy when he's around a camera. Because a covert narcissist isn't being themselves most of the time, they'll be really insecure when that's exposed. And my sense is that he's not being himself when he acts as if he's fine with being her sidekick. But when he's the main character, he looks extra confident. More confident than most people, I think, with the camera. After all, on his Instagram page, he explains that Gabby is his sidekick. He says, "It's been an incredible year, by far the best of my life. I've been to so many beautiful places, had so many amazing experiences, all with the best sidekick in the world." Who says that? He doesn't even sense how arrogant that sounds. And that's what every relationship is about for a covert narcissist. Who's in control? Whether they perceive themselves to be in control or whether they think it's the other person. With a covert narcissist, being in control might not be obvious, because if they're manipulating someone by acting like the nice guy, because it's a manipulation, it means they are actually in control and they know it. That's how it starts. He's looking at her, she's looking at the camera. She's only ever opened her eyes a tiny bit, but his eyes are always open. Then she's looking over at the camera and he's looking at her. For most people this wouldn't matter, but for a narcissist I can imagine that it would, especially over time and if it kept happening, because she has a relationship with the camera and with her viewers, and it doesn't seem that he does. His only relationship is with her. So I can see how he may have felt left out. As I've said, every interaction for a narcissist is about who's in control, so it's about who's winning. And I think that he would have felt that she won over and over again because she comes across as so bubbly and authentic, and he can't pull that off because he's not, it doesn't seem to me, being authentic. And so she's much more engaging. And so when he's with her, he seems to feel like he's lost, and he seems to feel insecure and exposed as a result. She's in charge. She's always the one with the camera. He's on the outside. And it's not that that's what she wants. I think she really wants to include him. But I think that when he's not feeling in control, it seems to hit him hard. Again, she's the leader. He follows her. And I think he then resents her for it and gets jealous. That would also fit with how controlling he was when he locked her out of her own van, and with how controlling he was when he hid her ID so she couldn't go out and have fun with her friend without him.
Well, we were supposed to go line dancing. It was ladies' night, and her drive is about 30 minutes to me, and halfway there she realized her ID was missing, and so it caused a really big argument because Brian just didn't want her to go out. And it was a jealousy issue.
Pues entonces.
As she's posing for the camera, I can imagine to a narcissist that this would feel very indulgent, even though this is normal for someone who's making a video about their travels. She's pulled him towards her and now she's pushing him away. It's just for their silhouettes in the video, but I can imagine for him that scenes like this might feel demeaning because he's being pushed and pulled, literally. And again, that's only because of the kind of character he seems to be. It's not that what she's doing is demeaning in any way, but a narcissist will take little things like that as being a big issue, as being shameful and humiliating, because it's a sign that they're not in control. And they will resent the person they perceive as having the control. She decides what's going to be filmed. Now it's not him anymore, it's the food. So he can't be centre stage if he feels like it. But for somebody who gets narcissistic supply from being the good guy, being the person who's needed, who's always there, he wouldn't be able to say if he felt uncomfortable with any of this because it would damage that good guy persona. So he has to act like he's fine with all of it. He's really patient, he's happy for her to take the limelight because he's the kind of guy who's really humble and so on. And then in fact, his resentment just builds and builds. And Gabby might have thought of him as this really easygoing guy who every now and again had this bizarre reaction and became angry for no apparent reason because the person believes in the persona of the narcissist. So a covert narcissist can come across as impressed with the person who has all the confidence, you know, and makes the decisions, but really they're harbouring all of this jealousy and resentment. Again, she's centre stage, which is what people want to see. She's the one who's engaging. She's the one with the enthusiasm and the ideas, but the point is, he isn't the focus. She is. This isn't just how things might go if you make a video with a covert narcissist, but how a whole relationship can go. This person doesn't have a strong sense of self because they've spent their whole lives playing a part for people. And so ironically, being so compliant is how he feels in control. And yet at the same time, it's humiliating. It's humiliating to feel subservient to someone else. And I think that he would have felt like that. Certainly a covert narcissist does. And this belief that they're being considered lower in the pecking order will trigger contempt. Even if it's not true, even if they're not being considered in that way, they're likely to think they are if they're being subservient, if they're letting the other person lead. And so the contempt that's triggered in them will counteract that sense. And instead of feeling less than, they're secretly looking down on the person they pretend to follow. And even though that person isn't asking them to behave like that, they're not asking to be the leader. That's what the narcissist will encourage, because that's where they feel comfortable and in control. There's what Gabby's friend says about Brian.
But, you know, you can see the jealousy side, and, you know, he also wanted what he wanted when he wanted it, and he'd find a way to get it, and not in a, you know, a violent manner, but, you know, if he didn't want Gabby to do something, he'd find a way to make it so she couldn't do it. He was always charismatic and making Gabby breakfast almost every morning. And
so he was being the ideal boyfriend until every now and again the resentment got too much and he became really angry. And I think that was when she would then flee to her friend's house, which happened about once a month.
Just seemed like there was more and more arguments, and everything she did, I feel like, you know, he thought was wrong.
She's the one who reaches out to him. This is what we're doing now. And a lot of people would be fine with that. They'd really enjoy maybe taking turns, you know, each having different ideas. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this. But to a covert narcissist, her behavior could come across as ordering him about. She moves naturally. He's wooden. It's awkward because he's not behaving naturally. Because it's amplified here, I think this is a good example of how a covert narcissist can be fake to please their partner and get their narcissistic supply. It reminds me of Chris Watts and his wife, who he murdered, Shanann. He murdered her along with her children.
We went to the spa. Where else were we doing? All the different lounges at night, all the different food. Hi, Sharon. The amazing food. I mean, seriously, I think I gained 10 pounds while I was here. Hey, Kevin. But it's been super amazing. We took it all in. We had a blast. We had a wonderful cocktail party on Friday night with Lavelle. Super inspiring. I can't say how great this trip has been. This trip is definitely by far one of my favorite trips.
And people would say how bossy she was, you know, how he was ordered about and how demeaning that was and so on. But I think what these two women both had in common was that they weren't aware that their partners were playing roles, you know, so they didn't know in both cases that the other person was playing a role that they were not happy with. And so, you know, why would you know if someone's encouraging you to be the leader, if they seem really insecure and unsure of themselves when you're not, and they want you to be, they make it clear, you know, then how would either of them have known that that's not what, you know, that there was all of this resentment going on in the background?
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but it rained all afternoon yesterday.
Oh my god! The tent is just coming in on me. The wind is so bad. I've just been sitting here like this for a while.
So me and Brian just got up and got ready, made the bed in the tent, set up. I think our plan for today is to just hang out here in the tent. Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga. That's cool.
She seems a bit self-conscious. Is this because it's embarrassing in front of the camera when he seems less enthusiastic about the video than her? Although she takes charge a lot in this video, I don't think she comes across as an arrogant person or somebody who needs to have this power over somebody else.
Did that work that well?
Alright. So I'm gonna make some yogurt. Looking to steal some of his granola. All the chocolate melted.
I know, it's a river of chocolate. Be cautious.
You can't keep chocolate in Utah.
There's also this pressure that they both have to appear chirpy and in good spirits for this channel that they're running. You know, this is a travel channel and they need to be having fun. So that would have put pressure on both of them. And I think that however fake he was to begin with, it probably will have accentuated that.
Not in July. Or in a clear plastic container that is always in the sun.
Whereas for Gabby, those moments where she seems a bit less herself stand out because she seems so authentic. Here's Brian reading his book about a serial killer, and people have said that he, you know, that some of the things he did seem to have something in common with this character. And that doesn't surprise me because judging by what looks like acting a lot of the time, he seems to me to be a chameleon. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he's good at adopting different characteristics for different situations and different people.
I love the band.
So, we are right outside Capitol Reef right now in a free dispersed camp spot. And we've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far. Since we left New York, I've only set up my hammock once, and now we're all the way in Utah, and luckily enough, I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
And we're kind of like in the desert.
Very few trees.
His expression looks even more fake to me when it's shown in slow motion. So I'm going to leave it here. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.